Tumba Segun Showunmi joins us now, and I was unsure where he stood, but he just told me he's a member, a stakeholder, a chieftain in the PDP, in the People's Democratic Party.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Without a doubt?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Good morning, Uncle. How are you?
Good morning. It's good to see you. So, I don't know, as a member, it was actually a little confusing, because after that handshake with the president, a number of people thought, oh, you were switching sides.
You see, Nigerians are funny people. This party was registered in 1998. I've been standing in this party since 1998. I have one handshake, one visit to the president, whom I've known since 1994. And you think I'm going to just leave my party? No, let's get to serious things. It doesn't work that way. You must understand that after about 27 years in democracy, and I have been very active, it gets to a point where you start asking the question, is this democracy even working? Why are the people unhappy? Can we begin to build consensus around development so that we can even, okay, beyond all the criticism and it's not good, can we just start agreeing on some things? Otherwise, nations are leaving us behind. And in that process, you begin to have a second view as, okay, beyond saying you are the opponent of his party, can you just try and listen to what he's saying or what he's trying to do? Is there something there? Are there things that you can see? And in that context, yes, we had that beautiful conversation. And ironically, among the things that came up, 4 major issues came up when I met the president. One of them was I was very concerned about rivers, and he did explain some things there, which made sense. I was concerned about the insecurity in the north. People were just dying, and he had something to say about it. I was concerned about I saw the policies. I told him I had seen where he's going with the policies, but I was concerned about the knock-on effect on the people. And he's so I don't.
Well,
I
think it was because of the controversy that arose after you. After you had that handshake, and people were asking, "Are you defecting? Are you not defecting?" And it would seem that you kept on giving different answers at different times.
I did tell them, "No, come on, I kept saying consistently, you cannot insist that decampation is the same thing as a visitation. If I want to decamp to the APC, I'm quite able to do that."
So you're not decamping?
No, not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay. Okay, so this is... It's taking so long.
There's only when almost all your governors have decamped.
It's taking so long to get your designation. But let's talk about rivers, because you said that was one of the issues that you spoke to the president about.
Yes, I did.
And this is the week of the transition. Clearly, well, it's unclear. We haven't heard the president speak, but from what we can see of the body language of the sole administrator, it does appear that there will be no extension to the emergency rule in River State, in spite of all of the controversy that it has generated. And this is even still within the fact that we're here to hear or really get closure on whether what the president did was legal or not. We remember that the PDP governors went to the court. They went to the Supreme Court to seek for interpretation. As to, they're not questioning the president's powers. That is clearly enshrined in the Constitution. He does have a power to declare a state of emergency. But what has remained unclear is where the president derived his powers from to suspend a democratically elected governor of a state.
Okay, thank you very much. When you see the president, you can ask him that question. But what I can say to you clearly is that, you see, the Nigerian nation is a very chatty nation. And therefore, people make light of serious situations. If you look at what led to that state of emergency, for those who don't manage anything, it's easy for them to assume that doing nothing would have resolved that issue. But it couldn't have been. You had an assembly that was totally not in bed with the governor then. You had a court judgment that was saying they didn't have a legally valid local government, and therefore the Supreme Court should the court should give instruction that money should not be paid there. You had a situation where even if you allowed it to continue, more than likely the governor would have just been impeached. And now a president would have just been impeached. And now a president who has also been a governor before and understands how the thing how it can look on the ground, uses some of the extra powers given to him in the Constitution to step in with a view to hoping that he can help them calm frayed nerves, get them to come together and resolve what is really human relation issues, and then return them back to peace and stability. Well, I understand that people like to talk a lot of cha-cha-cha, but the truth of the matter, that was the right decision at that time, because Ordinarily, the governor would have probably been impeached. Then they would have had a lot of brick bats. One side would be fighting the other. They're blowing down the National Assembly. That's chaotic. And Rivers is significant because of the amount of oil assets it has. Any leader that knows what he's doing must step in to say, okay, let's find a way to calm this. And if you look, it has worked. We have seen Governor Wike, former Governor Wike and Governor Fubara come a bit closer to themselves. I don't know what you want to make of the local government election they did, but bottom line is that something that looks like a local government election has been done, and that structure is there. So in a few days' time, of course, the sole administration will step out of the way, and the government will continue. Hopefully, they would have now found a way, because they come from the same stable, really. It was from the stable of the Wike camp that the Fubara president governorship took place. So hopefully they would have sorted themselves out, and maybe they can, in the best interest of Rivers State, now move forward. But people will say, oh, the president don't have power. What should the president have done? I'm not the spokesperson. It's his business to come and speak on that. But the thing is, should he have allowed the natural direction things would have taken, which is the impeachment of the governor, to take place? And if that had happened, and it was not a popular thing in Rivers, what do you then think would have been the natural pushback? So the president doesn't have much of a choice. He did what he needed to do, and I'm sure he has done it, and I think he gave them 6 months, estimating that that's good enough a time for them to resolve the issues. And hey, they've resolved it. Let them go and fix Rivers now and put the Rivers State back in line. The biggest losers to this whole emergency rule is the party, PDP. Before the emergency rule, we'll naturally have all the local governments in our kitty. We'll have a chummy environment there. But hey, there are consequences to misgovernance.
I'm just a little curious. I mean, you heard what President Goodluck Jonathan said. He wasn't... You had to read between the lines to know what exactly he was saying, but it was clear. It was clear enough. Former President Goodluck Jonathan at an event when he said, you know, it's difficult to wake somebody who is pretending to be sleeping.
I would have preferred you would have asked him that. What would he have done in that circumstance? Because in the circumstance when the majority of the assembly was no longer with the governor and they had gone to court and the court had affirmed that assembly, would he not have imagined that they would have impeached the governor?
That is a political. It was that situation was political, but you know.
How would he have resolved it? Exactly.
I would not know.
Exactly.
But he clearly, you know, had criticism.
I can tell you what he said.
Yes. And this is on the back of the fact that he also faced a situation in 2014 where he had to declare a state of emergency in 3 states in the Northeast. And
because of a crisis.
Because of a crisis. And you know the people who came hardest on him, telling him he couldn't suspend a governor or remove a sitting governor. As a matter of fact, that even still came up recently when former Attorney General of the country, Mohammed Adoke, wrote his book, and the Vice President was there. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I've read the book. Listen,
yes.
We can always insist that in the course of nation building, we're going to keep going back and say, oh, Obasanjo did it like this, why did not do it? Oh, Jonathan, that's not how to lead a nation. Any commander-in-chief that wants to, that is in charge of the nation, will take the reign of the nation and start riding it forward. Some of the experiences of the past will be useful, but some of them must be permanently left in the past. In this particular Rivers case, I do not see any other easy alternative, except, of course, if you are taught that maybe the courts had said, oh, they agreed with the governor's side of the assembly, which would then would have naturally meant that the other guys are going to have to move away. But the court did not. Over and above that, the court also said there was no appropriation budget that it could spend. Look, it seems easy when you don't have to take the hard decision. But the reality of the matter is that that was one of those decisions that the president took to his credit that showed that he can lead, because he stepped in. It couldn't have been a good decision for the Wike side at that time, because obviously the state assembly could have been left. But the president must have figured that if I leave the state assembly, I will tilt the balance of power too much in favor of my minister. So okay, I'm just going to level the play. I want to lead one day, so these kinds of things interest me.
You want to lead one day, but I'm just a little curious
me.
how you took that as a member of the PDP. I would have thought
listen, before that event, I had even gone to Rivers to do a town hall meeting on my own at my course, begging them to come together and just let's save ourselves. But you know what happened? There are people in this country who like to profit from people's miseries. rather than figure out how to bring two brothers together, and I had very harsh word for Rivers elders. What they were doing, they were poking them. They'll poke Fubara, then poke Wike, and just expect them. And you know, they have a particular culture of vibe in that environment. So they kept making it worse. And then it got really, really bad until the point where they didn't have an assembly building. They couldn't do appropriation. The cost, it was unnecessary. It was totally unnecessary because ab initio, these two men come from the same side. They went from two different sides. They came from the same side. And all that would have been required was for people that had a bit of gravitas there to step in and say, gentlemen, you're going to risk Rivers too much. This is too much. You need to take it easy. Leadership has a way of balancing out things. Just because you're a governor doesn't mean that every other person in the state is small. Hey, Mr. Minister, can you go easy? That's how to keep nations and states together. Okay, now that they got a state of emergency, why didn't they go and remove the administrator before he expression of his hand? Leadership needs a bit of pragmatism. And I'm quite happy that they're back because I really like Fubara. I like what he was trying to do. I've been there. People said the place was peaceful. People liked what he was doing with the society, with the environment. And I didn't want him to be out of power. But hey, they pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until it got to a breaking point. Thank goodness God, somebody that has responsibility and authority has helped them to rediscover themselves. And if you look at them now, in the last couple of months, we have seen them attend functions together. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine. Rivers will be good. And all of those who are saying they would have done it, they would have done it, they would have done it, they can't do better.
I know Ayo has questions for you.
Okay, let him ask.
Well, there are many issues to raise about that matter, Markwe. Thank you. There are many issues to raise about that one. There are those who are looking at constitutional gaps and the legalese of it and all of that. But maybe some other time that will be something, as Marco said earlier, that will be something for the books. But you said something striking, and that's the fact that PDP was the greater loser in Rivers State. And I'm wondering how you think that is going to play out, particularly in the next political dispensation, particularly during the next general elections, now that the PDP has zoned its presidency to the south, the southern part of the country. Now, those who are still wondering, hey, on the one hand, this is some political decision. On the other hand, this is some kind of ostracization of certain parts of the country. How do you see that, particularly those who are saying this decision of the party does not align with freedom of whatever in the Constitution?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, this zoning of our party to the south, you will have to go back to about maybe 2022 or 21, where they had what they call the Delta Accord, the Dasaba Accord, where the former governor of Delta was hosting the, what's his name, I forgot, Kowa. And they had gone there with all the southern governors, the governors of APC and the governors of PDP. And they sat down there and said, oh, Nigeria or the Nigerian nation should zone the ticket at that time, looking at the 2023 election, to the south. Now, the next day in the morning, I was in blazing gun. And what was my issue? I was screaming, we don't have the same issues with APC. We are PDP, we've zoned to the north, we've zoned to the south, we can do our own zoning on our own terms. This party has only zoned to the north. They have that burden. If you trap us in the burden of following them to where they're going, we're going to have a problem. And like I said, the problem will be that for PDP to say they're going south in 2023, then the only south that can be equitable will be southeast. They didn't listen. Anyway, that played out, now we're here. Now, the PDP has now said, we've had a lot of problems. We're now going to go south. We're going to say south. Well, let's wait and see who will be that southern candidate that can pick the PDP ticket. Because recall that the president merely got 8-point-something million votes. And there are 93 million voters that collected their PVC at the last count. So out of that 93 million PVC, once we are able to achieve bigger turnout of voters and all of that, there will always be somebody in the south that can succeed. That's the first part. The second part is, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as it presently stands, does not allow anybody who feels very strongly about the desire to run on a party that is a bona fide legitimate member from running. every time they have done zoning in political parties, it has never excluded other people from buying the form. And I'll use the APC as an example. The APC was zoning going to the south. The immediate past Senate president bought the form and contested. That's how it's been the play. The parties will, for ideological or maybe sentimental reasons, say we're going south, but nobody prevents anybody from buying the form. You can't. The Constitution does not allow you to prevent somebody from enjoying the right that he has already been given ab initio. So as far as I'm concerned, they are flogging it too much. When we get to Ibadan and we cross over the issue of the new executive, then we will look at who are the people that are indicating interest and who are the people that can carry the burden of challenge. And then we'll see how it goes. And let's hope that PDP will survive the second stroke. The first stroke being the stroke of the G5. Somehow they seem to have survived that. The second stroke being the stroke of the fact that the Matiku and Co seem to have stepped away from the party. Hopefully, if they survive that, then we'll see how it goes. But hey, the nation is not going to wait for any political party. It will not wait for PDP.
I think you are already stepping into the next question.
The Nigerian citizens will be called upon to come and exercise their franchise of voting. And when they get there...
Well, Mr. Showunmi, I think you're already stepping into that next question that I was going to ask you, so I'll just go straight to it. Now, you are already saying...
then I must be clairvoyant.
Somewhat. Maybe. So the question then would be, from what you are saying, it seems you are having doubts as to whether or not the PDP has the capacity to pull any major upset in the next general elections, particularly in the light of, one, some major members of the party are stepping away into the ADC, and two, the ADC is proving, so to speak, to be quite formidable with the political juggernauts, one would say, that are dancing around it now. So on the one hand is the ADC, the challenges of the ADC. On the other hand is the fact that it's uncertain whether or not the PDP has come together, has become the force that has the potential or capacity to wake up from its slumber in the build-up to the next general elections. What are your thoughts about the chances of the PDP in the light of the challenges coming from the ADC? And
I can tell you for free.
Go ahead.
For absolutely free. The 2027 presidential election contest is still going to be a contest between the APC, the ruling party, and the PDP. You see that they call the coalition that they are running around called the ADC. They are entitled to their huff and puff, but you could look at all the off-season elections that they've done of recent. They've not really been able to do much. The lie on the ground at the back of the, grassroots play of the PDP is very strong. We can see one or two or three personalities that, of course, made by PDP who now think that they can go it alone. I speculate and expect that the challenge of the ADC will be how to even pick a candidate among excessively ambitious people who see everything as either themselves, their way, or the highway. So I think that it's going to be a play of the APC and the PDP. And of course, there are 18 other political parties, or if you like, 17 other political parties who will also have one or two things to say. I'm very sure that every people that can pull an offset in PDP, there are a few people that can put their hat into the ring and get the ticket of the PDP and go ahead and win. But it's not for me to start being anybody's promoter or prompter. Anyone who feels that he has the capacity and the desire and the ability to lead this country well, to do better than the present guys are doing, should please be brave enough to step forward, and then let's see. You see, PDP is a party that has not 9 lives, 18 lives. Chief Obasanjo tore his car, PDP is still alive. Atiku left and came back, PDP is still alive. When PDP just come back, we made him from our PDP, bringing him into vice president. PDP is the party that there is. We are like the university of democratic participation in this country. And when you think we are not doing well, I will just say to you, are the others even doing anything at all? Do you even have a political party anywhere apart from us? At least you hear us talk about ESCO, you talk about NEC, we talk about arguments and all that. You compare us to a garrison of people who just sit down and take instruction from one or two people, or you want to compare us to a portmanteau political party that the person that is calling himself founder is also the presidential candidate. Hey, Nigerians, the microcosm of our Nigerian people in politics is the PDP. If you give us votes the next time, we'll give you life abundant like you've always known. If you choose to continue where you are, hey, you live with the consequences of your decision, but never ever rule out PDP. How can you rule out a party that has been around since 1998, never changed his name, never changed his logo, everybody knows his slogan and going so strong? Come on. We're not them. We're not them. You're working to an answer of assumption that, oh, because of people are... No. These same guys who created the challenge of PDP for Jonathan, creating the challenge of the APC for Bola Tinubu, do they have no other thing to do with their life apart from destabilizing political parties?
Yeah, but let me ask you,
very far.
You know, because you are saying that no one should rule out the PDP.
You can't rule out the PDP.
The PDP is still very viable in the 2027 elections. However, there are those who are saying, look, you have people within the party who will not be working for the party.
You don't know that.
Well, if we're to go by utterances...
You don't know that. Politics is politics.
Yes, politics is politics. But we have, for instance, now, we have someone like the Minister of the FCT who has clearly said, that it's too late. But he's an influential one man.
One man.
He's one man, but he's also got the former G5 governors who were with him in the last election.
Are you sure there's still five? Imagine he's not there anymore.
He's not there, but you have a number of other people.
Where do you know that autonomy is?
Now, those are questions that we should ask you people.
Ask me.
But yes, we should ask. And then you know, because you haven't exactly pointed out anything that the current APC is not doing well. As a matter of fact, you have kudos for them. So what exactly should they be voting your party for?
Wait.
You see nothing wrong with what the APC is
there are
doing.
Things there are loads of things the APC is doing wrong. But, you know, you have to answer questions that are asked. You can't ask a question on Rivers and expect me to say we go political with that, especially when I believe very strongly that at least our candidate is back. We were the one who produced Fubara, not them. So that's that in that regard. Now, when we get to the campaign seasons, the APC will first of all have to come to the table and tell us, PDP, if they think in their wildest imagination that the vast majority of the Nigerian citizens in the nook and cranny of the country are very happy with their policies. They will come and explain, and we'll tell them why the Nigerians are not. The APC will come and tell us when we get to that hurdle of campaign. Now, do they consider this excessive nepotism that is milling around their government as the basis by which we're going to continue to have a stable none? We'll talk to them on that. The APC will come and tell us whether the way they look at the Nigerian project, a baby that the PDP battered and handed over to them, the largest economy in Africa, they'll come and tell us what they think they're doing. We're going to help them to do the rebasing of the currency they've done. They have said, oh, they're building a very big economy. We're going to let them, we're going to discount it to the exchange rate. We're going to discount it to the misery index. We're going to discount it. See, don't you see, my position, my has been, for us to have a sustained country in development, we must have to give ourselves some time for government program, for policies and development. If you run a nation like ours on an assumption that all year round the conversation will be politics and never development, you will then wonder why we're not doing as well as we should be doing. So there will be time for politics. But right now, if they ring the bell, it will be foolhardy for President Bola Tinubu to be so complacent. In fact, I have a feeling that if Bola is not going to, if the president is going to lose that election, he's going to lose it on the basis of complacency. But it's not my responsibility to start telling him how. I do the hard work, the heavy lifting to know, to hear. I've done town hall meetings in every zone. I've done stuff in state. I've done benchmarks.
How are you funding that?
Oh, Amakwe, you've known me forever. I can well fund my play. I don't have the kind of burden that they have. I don't have too many kids who want to go to the schools that they want to send them. My kids are doing quite well. I don't have a wife that needs to be fed. I don't have a father that doesn't have money. I still get some money from home, and I have my own money, and whatever comes in my hand, and everything is not money. When you reduce the conversation in the country to only money, it's part of the reason why you're not getting good leaders. The nation must recognize that governance and development are serious issues, and we shouldn't kid about it. But if you think, if the APC, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, thinks that the 2027 election is in the park, I'll remind him on May 28th, or no, May 30, because it's not in the bag yet. I see how he can win, but believe me, I also see how he's going to lose. If he's not very careful.
I think it is a fine place to leave it. We certainly will be expecting the response of the APC to that. But we have to thank you.
We're happy to debate them.
Thank you so much.
We're happy to debate them.
Mr. Segun Showunmi, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. He's still a member of the People's...
Very strong member for that.
Of the People's Democratic Party. I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Mark. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.